Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to our channel. We're gathered here today to look back and reminisce on a show that was gone way too soon. It never got to live up to its true potential and we keep it in our hearts dearly. And that show is The Society. That's right, today we're going to be talking about The Society, and I think that the way we're going to do it today is a little bit different than how we usually do things around here. And if you are new around here, by the way, definitely hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And also, while you're at it, follow me on my socials here at Imurgency. But that's besides the point. For those of you that are not familiar, The Society is a show on, was a show on Netflix that unfortunately got canceled after one season. The show came out in 2019 and people are still talking about it to this day. It is a lot, to be fair, and y'all been asking me to do a review on it, so I took the time to go back and rewatch and revisit it, and I have a lot more thoughts the second time around than I did the first time around, and we're gonna get into that. So the basic premise is that these bunch of high school kids go on a field trip, or are supposed to go on a field trip somewhere for their senior year, but then end up getting trapped in like this alternate dimension, alternate reality. They basically end up in a version of their hometown without anyone else there but them. And it follows like a similar plot line to like if you read the book Lord of the Flies. I don't know if there's like a movie or something. Speaking of high school, where they have to set up their own civilization, and of course since they're high schoolers and yeah, because they're high schoolers, there's drama that ensues. Now, I will say that for me, the show is really interesting because it is like my cup of tea. Like, I do like shows like this. This show has a lot of characters. Like, it has a lot of named characters. And the beauty of this show is that they all sort of intertwine together, and their different personalities cause like a bunch of different conflicts. And it really feels like these are all real people to a certain extent, which is really cool, but really sucks for me when I have to tell you all about it. So just to make both of our lives easier, if you haven't seen the show, then see the show, because I'm not gonna explain everybody. I'm literally reading off the cast list because I can't remember these characters' names for the life of me. I'm sorry. But the ones we're gonna be talking about are Allie, Gareth, Kelly, Campbell, Harry. There are actually so many people here. There's no point. But yeah, there's a lot of characters here. The main character I feel like we're supposed to follow is Allie. And Allie is someone who's like forced into power to be like the group's leader because her older sister, Cassandra, who is like your typical like leader-esque type, like she's like the one you'd go to be the leader, ends up croaking. And that's not funny. But basically Allie is like thrust in the power. She doesn't know what she's doing and she's trying to figure it out. And she ends up being like this really stone cold person externally because she has to be, and a lot of people end up hating her for it. But in reality, it's what they all need to survive. What I think is really cool about this show is that it's one of those that really gets you thinking like, if I were in this situation, what would I do? Because it's so like psychological in the sense that like all of the character plots and all the things that happen in this show are directly because of someone's actions. And it's like one of those things where each character is like a different like archetype, or each character is like a different personality type. So really putting yourself into seeing where you would end up is like really cool. Now we'll give credit where credit is due before we get into some discussion points. The show was really good. The first time around that I watched it, I was completely in love with it. Like, I wanted more. And even when I finished it the second time, I was really mad that it got canceled after this season, because I feel like the next season, like if there were to be a next season, that season would be so good, because this whole first season pretty much just acted as a big setup. It's like a setup season, I feel like, because jumping around here, at the end, the group is right about to encounter like their first winter, and they're having a whole bunch of political turmoil because they're having a transition of power. The old leader, Allie, is being replaced by a manufactured sort of coup led by Campbell and then co-signed by Harry and Lexi. I'm gonna get into them. I don't like any of them very much. Like, they're all very annoying. And just like the setup they had for the end of the season, like I want to see like how they end up enduring the winter, not having an actual competent leader. So definitely said that the show didn't get picked up and continued. But I do have my things that I was iffy about on this show. And let's get into it. Let's talk about it. First things first, I want to talk about a character that really shaped the entire show in the worst way possible, and that is Campbell. Campbell is terrifying. Whenever he was on screen, I was constantly on edge. The way that they did the casting for this character also was phenomenal, because who's this actor? What's his name? Hold on. Toby Wallace. It's just something about Toby's face that really gives like unhinged, which really sold the character very well, because I was on edge. Petrified, even. Campbell is Allie's cousin and Sam's brother. Right off the get-go, you can already tell like he is like a bad boy character, like not like bad boys and like cool bad boy, but bad boys and like outcast bad boy, like rawr, like that kind of type. So he's kind of already like, ooh. But then we come to find out that he's a literal psychopath. Like a diagnosed psychopath. In case you forgot or you haven't seen it, the way that they reveal that he's a psychopath, you have his brother talking about like how he used to harm animals and tell this really chilling story, while at the same time it also cuts to Campbell trying to drown his girlfriend Elle because she went and had too much fun without him. Just that scene of seeing those two things, like you get to learn more and more about Campbell and actually how unhinged and psychopathic he is, just contrasted with him doing some really unhinged and crazy stuff. And after that scene, if I was scared of Campbell before, I was petrified afterwards. And I will say, the show does do what a lot of media and entertainment, Hollywood, etc. does with like mental illness and psychopathy, and does villainize it. I am aware. I took an intro psych class, so I'm not the most qualified, but I do know that this isn't like an accurate portrayal of like a psychopath or like psychopathy, but still it was chilling. I feel like the best scenes in the show were the ones with Campbell, just because the way that he thinks is like so roundabout and just so sneaky. Like you always think he's plotting something, and most of the time he's like, I'm not plotting anything. Not because he's not thinking about anything, but because he knows where he is in the situation where he doesn't have to be on guard. And whenever he is on guard, it's terrifying. Like the way he manipulated that whole election at the end to basically put him in the seat of power was ingenious, but also terrifying. And let's not even get into the food poisoning scene. Like the food poisoning scene between him and Elle, I was on the edge of my seat that entire time. Like Elle trying to calmly like poison Campbell, and then Campbell like unintentionally, I'm not even sure if it's completely unintentional, I believe like he didn't know what was going on genuinely until afterwards. And instead of eating the pie that was poisoned, him being like, you know what? Let's go take this to the others. Let's have everyone partake in this. And just the fear in Elle's face, and the whole time she's just like, no. She's put in a situation like she can't like tell him that she poisoned the pie, but she also like can't bring that to other people because that's going to poison everybody, which she ended up doing regardless. But if that wasn't bad enough, when Campbell actually does find out that Elle poisoned the pie to try and kill him, he isn't mad, he isn't upset, he's happy. And he's happy because he thinks that Elle is like him, because that's some stuff that he would do. Unhinged does not begin to describe it. Like I cannot. Like Campbell, oh my god. And since we're talking about couples, here's something that I wasn't really that big of a fan of while I was watching. Like I get like all the adults are gone and it's just them, but why, oh why does every single relationship in this show seem like marriage? Like they all act like they're married. Like again, I get it, like as far as they know, they're the only humans alive there, but the way that they snap into marriage mode being high schoolers just really took me out of the show, because like why are they acting like they're about to have a whole family, wife and kids together at the bold age of 17, 18? Like sometimes some of the things that they argue about, I'm like, why are you arguing about that? Like what are you doing? Like what? I don't really get it. And also I don't want to see like a grandpa or grandma about it, but I really did not need to see a lot of the scenes that were in the show. Like a lot of like these sexual scenes didn't need to be there. I don't need to be seeing all that, because there was a lot. Like I get like there's nothing else to do. Like there's literally nothing else to do, but like I don't need to see like the sheer amount of scenes that there are in this show. In this 10 episode show, I think it's at least like once an episode. At least once an episode. And I'm just like, I don't know if this really adds to the plot, per se. One thing that this show does really well, this is a bad thing, but I'm prefacing it as a good thing. It does a really good job of making it very, very hard to like any character. When thinking about it, I think that's actually a good thing, because that just means that the show is showing like the core of humanity. Like there's no innately good person, there's no innately bad person. But like I feel like it's really hard to like any of these characters. Like I know I just gushed about Campbell, he's like one of the better characters in this show. Not personality wise, but like interest wise. But like as people, like it's really hard to like anybody. Like I say, if I were to make a list of characters that did the least amount wrong, I'd say Kelly for sure. Kelly is just a little cringy sometimes, but she hasn't really done anything wrong. Grizz is an angel. He's not straight. He is an angel. He just wants the best for everybody. He gives the best advice. He's always, okay, I might take back that statement about not having any good characters. But yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it. Like Carrie and Grizz are like, okay. Everyone else is kind of like, And it's just a lot of things that like make them that way, make them so annoying. Like for example, Allie is constantly thinking like everyone hates her and everyone's out to get her. And like, okay, being a leader, that's like a valid cause, but like she's way too quick to punish people. She's too petty, and she actually doesn't look for any evidence. Like she literally just goes off of a gut feeling. Like the whole ending thing could have been resolved if she didn't have like this big vendetta against Lexi for like making fun of her at Thanksgiving. Like literally if she would have handled that better, or there was a distinct moment when Lexi confronted Allie talking about the mistreatment that she had in the wine cellar or whatever. If she was just a little kinder then, most of the stuff that happened afterwards would not have happened. But because she was being so petty and being so like, she's out to get me, like she disrespected me in front of all these people, she really fucked herself over. And then Harry's just like an awful person. Like he's trying really, is he trying? He's not really trying to be a great person. He's just an awful person. He has decent qualities sometimes, maybe, and maybe he's attractive, but other than that, like he has nothing really going for him. Like Campbell basically gives Harry a drug addiction so that he can control Harry. Like even before he was being controlled, he was still not a great person. Sam just needs to pick a story and stick to it, to be honest, because his whole conflict with Grizz was like got resolved at the end, but it could have been minimized if he was just a little bit more truthful. And Becca was minding her own business. she was pregnant, but at the same time, like, I'm gonna blame it all on the pregnancy, but like some of the lines that she had, some of the things that she said, some of the arguments that she chose to pick, the hill she chose to die on just really didn't need to happen, respectfully. Now I kind of want to talk about like specifically like the last episode, like the finale, the ending. I think that the finale was really interesting because they really circled it back around to like a dream that Ali had about like everyone like betraying her. And honestly, I'm not sure what to make about that. I'm not sure if like she dreamt that and then took actions that would cause that to happen, or if she could just like foresee how things were going. It did happen. She ended up losing power. They tried to have an election, and then Campbell basically said, nope, let me spread a bunch of misinformation, let me take control of like the most powerful people, and let's have a coup. But not a violent coup, a sophisticated strategic coup where no one knows it's a coup. And in this episode, you can really see the power of like mob mentality. And even though this whole show is like oddly political and just casually and randomly threw around a bunch of political ideologies, but it just really shows like a real parallel as to like how quickly things can be misconstrued, or how often lies can be like covered up, or how quick corruption can just happen in like a group, or in this case, a student government. Because Campbell really did all that in like an episode and a half. And since the show was canceled prematurely, we don't get to find out like what is happening at the end, because they leave off with a giant cliffhanger of it being revealed like the parents and the rest of the world is perfectly fine and okay, but they just think that all the kids that were on that field trip are no longer alive. Like, it just really makes you think, like, are they actually all dead, and are they in like some kind of form of purgatory? Are they in like a separate dimension, separate universe, or what? Like, where are these kids? The saddest part is we will never know. We will literally never know, and that's like the most frustrating part. Like, how are you gonna drop like such a bomb at the end and never follow up on it? Like, we literally will never know, and that is very upsetting. That's very upsetting to me. But personally, like, my theory is that it has something to do with the dog, because the dog is the only thing that you see travel in between like the two worlds. Like, you see it in like the world with like the kids, and then you also see it in the world with like the adults. So there has to be like some kind of like link there. I know like there's like a bunch of like ending explained videos that like really go into it and really theory craft. I'm not one of those, but I watched a bunch of them, and the dog being the link is the one that I personally believe in. But let me know what you think. I'd say that overall this show was very enjoyable. It did have its like cliche moments, its cringy moments, and its fair share of annoying characters, but I really did enjoy it, and I'm very, very sad that it didn't get picked up for a second season, and we're just left off on an infinite cliffhanger. I would say overall, I give the show like a 7.5 out of 10 for sure. It was definitely really enjoyable to watch, and it definitely would have a higher score if it had a second season, but because it doesn't and it leaves you hanging, I knocked off a few points. But yeah, that's The Society. I know this was a shorter video, but I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, once again, hit that subscribe button and turn on my post notifications so you never miss when I post. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and commenting down below what you thought about The Society and what shows I should watch next. If you want to keep up more with me, you can follow me on my social medias here at Imurgency. And if you want to interact more with me or the community that we have going on here, you can click the link in my description to join our community Discord. I believe the next show that we're going to be talking about is Never Have I Ever Again, because they just released the season 2, so get excited for that. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I've been Imurgency, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.